everyone, welcome back to this week's video. Today I'm sitting down with you because I'm going to be showing you some more progress on one of my projects. Now, I have filmed this for the last few weeks and updating you pretty much every week for when I've gone from point A to point B to point C to point D, and I just wanted to follow up and show you basically what I've done, and also to verbally say it out loud, because sometimes it just really helps with the whole process of wondering what the hell I need to do. So, if anyone has no idea what I'm on about, I am doing a project at the moment based on a still life drawing that I did a few years ago. I came across it, it was in one of my old sketchbooks, and it's one of those ones you stop and stare at and you realise, why did I not do something with this in the first place? So, a few weeks later on, I'm up to this point. I have done various alterations of that drawing. I've done printmaking, drawing, all pastel, a little bit of painting, some sort of mixed media, and I've now settled onto printmaking again because I refuse to do painting for some reason, and I feel like I'm going to end up in it somehow, but for now I've just settled into printmaking. So I'll show you what I've basically done. Now, I had a stencil from doing and creating the last piece, so I went back to the drawing board, I did a bit of art research and realised, why don't I just use a stencil to create a negative piece and just put that outline colour of what I want on it first, and maybe take some of the colours that I've used within the printmaking and make that the negative colour that is shown up on a piece of paper. So that's what I've done. And this is one of the first pieces that I've done. How good does that look? The fact that it's just on a white background really just makes it pop. So this colour is actually being created using screen printing ink, not my usual printmaking medium. And you can tell because when I pressed onto it and took the Perspex board off, where all this colour had been on the board, it had transferred, so when I did a opposite print, which I'll show you in a second, you only get this section which wasn't able to print, and I just can't get over how nice it is. Part of me wants to stop and say this is it, but the upper half of me is, I want to see how far I can push it. The good thing about keeping an eye on and keep developing and processing an artwork is that eventually you'll go through all these different processes, you'll stop, you'll take a step back, and you'll look back through all your processes again and then go, that's what I've wanted out of everything that I've done. That is the final piece that I've done, and it may not be linear, it may be up and down and swirly-whirly, but I think it's going to be one of these pieces. But it's so lovely, you can see all the marks, and where I've had the stencil and I've cut out bits, that has just made it a little bit more interesting. And the colour transfer, this was only one attempt as well at pressing onto paper. So like I said, I did the opposite print, so where the paper was on the Perspex, I pulled that off and reprinted onto the paper, and this was the after effect of it. It looks very biological, but I love it. It's like an alien version of that other print, but it's still part of the collection. And the fact that you can get two different prints out of this process, you've got the first print, which is the original, taking away the negative space of the item or the object, and then you've got the remnants of whatever's left over. Some may think this is better because it's more mark makey, but I am going towards a pop arty route rather than my usual route of this. So this is what I not tend to go for, whereas my other print, which I've just shown you, is the version I'm going towards. I have no idea why, but I just fancy it. So the next version I created was reversing it. So I put, instead of having the paperback of the plant, I kept the shell of the outside bit of paper to then put onto the board to then press onto the shape of the plant onto the paper. I hope that makes sense, but basically this is what it's come out as. I changed colour. This is the colour, well, one of the colours that is actually on the board. and it creates such a different effect. It's still as interesting, but I don't think as a portrait and this size it's just as interesting. If it would cut it out into a square, I think that would be more interesting rather than just having all this negative space around it. It's kind of lost. It does work to some point, but I feel like comparing it to this first one, this sits nicely on the paper. I think it's because it's got the negative space of the landscape, whereas this one is the object in the colour. I don't know why I'm sitting really awkwardly. So still a very successful process, and once again I love the vibrant colour of it. It's still very art poppy because of the vibrancy of the colour. I just need to cut this down and maybe put it into one of the square prints to see how it is and how it looks, because I do think this is one process that I will come back to. I just haven't found it in the correct composition. After doing those two, I did try and reverse it, so I peeled off the backing paper and I was hopeful that leave a lovely mark making print, but all it did is just print onto paper, which I don't mind. It just means you can sort of see the outline of the plant, but it's not as good, which is fine because actually I have a rough idea of what I want to do next. I can use either the outprint of the plant to print on top of it, or vice versa. So that one, even though not successful this time, I'll use it for next time. And because all the inks that I've been using are water based, I literally just spray it a little bit with water and then I just press onto it and it kind of reactivates the material to then transfer over. I then tried the reddy purpley pinky colour as a negative print, and this one works just as well. It is very art poppy, and you can tell that the shape of it is not similar because this stencil was more towards the purpley bits, so I've cut out around here. You would have a bit more purple centre, oh sorry, up this side, a bit more purple centre and more edged bits in. So I feel like changing the colour perspective and the outline due to the colour profile just gives this a bit more character and uniqueness, because all the different colours can be conflicting and just doing it simply in one colour is just a bit boring. This was when I started to think of the Marilyn Monroe screen printing, where they've got like 4 different versions of the same image but just in 4 different colours. I thought maybe this could be that sort of image where I would just either get a giant piece of paper and press onto this giant piece of paper all next to each other and call that the artwork. And then you'll be able to see there's a blue version, bluey green version, which is the background. Then you've got the pink version, then you've got the yellow version, and then you've got the purple version to go with it all. But each individual one has a different amount carved out of it. So with this one I've carved out the pink. So it'll still be the same plant, but different variations of it. A bit like when you just slightly turn something, you see that it's not completely the same. That is, yeah, I need to make note of that. I need to make note of that because that's a great idea. I just need to find a piece of paper that's big enough. I think I do have a piece, but it's getting it to be able to be printable. With that one, I did obviously the negative space. This one went better than the last, but it still wasn't as dreamy. So you can see where the mark making is insane, but it's not finished, and I feel like if I get a negative piece I'll just slap it on top, see what happens, because worst case scenario, this has got a print on the back of it as well. Most of these artworks that I've got have prints or some sort of artwork on the back, where the artwork on the back wasn't as successful, or I thought I could develop it more, and it just needs that bit of oomph to change it. Therefore you're not using as much paper, and then also as much space because it can be chaotic when you've got so much. Last but no means least, I had a lot of leftover ink from creating the first green one, and I didn't want it to go all blotchy when I pressed onto the piece of paper, so I used any remnants onto a blank piece of paper and on top of an old drawing. Then I printed on top the red stencil. It didn't work as well as I'd hoped because the printing colour reacted a bit with the printing ink. As a mark making piece, it's interesting, but as of what I want, it's not down the right route, but it's still just as interesting. I feel like if I do a bit of mark making on this and edit it, it will become something, but this is basically it. So you can see the leftover printing ink on the background and then the printing ink on top. It is doing something, but it's just not the right element. So actually, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of work, I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 possible outcomes that I'll be gladly want to move on with. Yeah, so I've got 3 outcomes that I'm really heading towards, whereas the other 5 are more experimentations. However, there are 2 that I'll gladly be able to put up for sale because they're quite, well, I mean, it's more one actually, it's more this bluey one here that I will put up for sale, but technically 3 out of 8 artworks were somewhat successful in terms of what I kind of wanted within a profile, whereas the rest just didn't work. And actually that does sound like quite a lot, and it actually is, but this is the importance of making sure you reuse as much materials as possible, and if it does go wrong, it's fine, you can cover it up with printing ink, and at the end of it, if the paper's really awful, you can just use it collage, and in doubt, collage, and then that'll be the end of its lifeline. You'll be surprised how often it comes in handy. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sometimes it's a lot, me just sitting here just talking at you, but just talking out loud it just makes my life so much more easier, and to be able to process it verbally and visually, it helps. And I'm pretty sure there's some people out there who enjoy this kind of a theory version of art rather than not just practical, because you actually don't do a lot of practical art. I spend a lot more time doing the theory wise, not just research but also gallery research and ordering materials, putting up artworks on Vinted and eBay. You'd be surprised how much time that actually makes. You can see if you follow me on Vinted how like slowly I'm creeping in my larger prints and drawings onto there, because it does take a lot of time and it just takes so much time. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked or saw anything that you saw, please leave it in the comments section down below. In my description box there are links to all my social medias and also my eBay selling account, and also my Vinted account, which is where I sell most of my artworks now. I still use eBay, but not as much. I gradually want to use eBay more and more, not eBay, Vinted more and more, because I find it's a lot easier for me to use. I know it's a bit iffy with international, but there's a way around it, I think. Anyway, enough about that. If you like this video, please give this video a like. If you're not already, please subscribe because it does help me in the long run. I am now 327, so thank you for the extra 2 people who've joined me since. I do appreciate it. My next video, I'm actually going to go to Liverpool, and I'm going to go to an art gallery that I haven't been to before in Birkenhead and just enjoy the day. Hopefully, I don't know if it's going to be a speaking one or I'm just going to go for the hell of it and just record everything. There's no reason for me to go, I've just never been there before and I haven't been to Liverpool in such a long time. I just thought, what's in there? Go have a look at Birkenhead, have a joyful time and just enjoy the world and enjoy the weather whilst we have it, and yeah, that's it. Thank you guys again, I shall see you later. Bye.